keep on going. How's everybody? Welcome tonight to Seekers Chronicles. Keep on going.
Hey,
welcome.
Let's go tonight. Oh boy.
I thought he was going to finish it.
Yeah, I thought so because I have it on YouTube on the side here and here, so I can see everything I do. And that's talking. I'm talking. Everybody's talking at the same time. I can't do this. It's confusing.
Welcome, everyone.
I can't do too many things at once. I get lost. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
But, so, welcome tonight to the show. We have two great guests. Matter of fact, they're family to us. We consider them really close and their family, and But I want to know what you guys did this weekend because I'm going to tell you what I did.
I think you should start. But also, is this episode 17? Are we at 17?
It's episode 17 already.
Yeah, we're cruising through. Yeah.
We're going. Yeah.
All right. So how was your weekend, Anthony? What did you do this weekend?
Well, this weekend I posed as Lourdes. I went to Hanover Tavern, the Paracon down there, with Ron. Lourdes she was spending the weekend with her baby girl, her granddaughter. Turns 1. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, sweetheart!
Yeah, happy birthday!
And so I had a good time. We really did. The food there was outrageous. Oh boy!
Was it?
Yeah. The brisket and the pulled pork, and you go down south, you have the barbecue.
Yeah.
You don't go down there and buy slice of pizzas. No.
Yeah, no more.
Not even no cannolis. So yeah, we had a good weekend, and Ron, we did his radio. It's the radio. Ron's gonna start yelling at me.
He's already yelling at you, probably.
I know. I can see him in the back screen right now. He's like, "What the hell?" He's giving me the finger and everything, But
yes, we'll talk about
the digital dowsing experience.
Dowsing.
So we did it, huh? I said it right, didn't I?
No.
What?
Digital. Oh.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry after the show.
Cut off. We haven't even started. Cut.
Okay, Jennie, you tell me what it is.
Welcome to the show.
We're gonna do this.
Jennie, go ahead.
Rewind.
What was it, Jen?
You said the digital dowsing experience, but I think you meant the digital seance experience.
Yeah, the seance thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. We got it. Yep.
Yeah, you guys got it. I hope the audience got it now.
You know what he meant. You all know what he meant.
It's what I said. What I said. So yeah, so we did that, and we had a great time, and it was a lot of people down there. They also did a tribute to Dave Taylor.
Very nice.
Best, yeah. He was big with a couple of the people there, Steve Dills and everything. So they did candlelight. We did a candlelight thing with them. So it was really nice how that all worked out, and such nice people. Really,
good. Good.
I didn't hear no banjo, so I felt safe. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, you got a pretty mouth.
They make you nervous?
Yeah, they got me nervous after watching that movie. You know what I'm saying? Hey, boy, you got a pretty mouth. And stuff like that. And well, I know when you guys had something. And what did you guys do? No? Yes,
not much. Soon? I'll give you a clue. Kimm did this.
Yeah, I found literally my life-saving piece of equipment. I am so happy I finally found this. So Jennie made me aware that there is live EVP. Never knew. But on her thing, it's a headphones, right? It's on live EVP. You're live recording everything. But in your headphones, everything is amplified. So you can literally hear everything. Whispers, footsteps, something going on behind you, upstairs. I could hear the train like 3 miles away. I could hear the train on these things. But I also could hear the EVPs when we were going back through EVPs on the DR60. I could hear them that much clearer while listening with the headphones on. So this is my new favorite device. I will be absolutely using it every single time you see me now. So
This
Jennie
no
is the
longer
recording
belongs to me.
queen.
Yeah, no, this
Deserves
no
that
longer belongs
title.
to me. It will be Kimm's. That,
Well,
Cute.
yeah, we'll see. But
we
very excited about that.
we had like a great investigation. We had 2 nights in a row. So both of us are like this right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm exhausted. I don't know about you. When you do those 2 nights of investigations in a row,
Yeah.
like it's tiring, you know,
It's
and
draining.
you get
Yeah.
up the next day. Yeah.
Draining. And
So-
not only that, I mean, you're in a location that has spirit, right? Like not only is one night of drain, it's 2
Right.
nights of drain of reading and
Right.
yeah.
Right. But we were at a fascinating location, absolutely fascinating, so active, so much stuff going on
Yeah.
there. And we can't wait to share it, this project, which will be soon.
No.
We got both 305s here. Hi, guys.
Look at everybody here.
Mhm.
So, Jennie, do you want to take the honors and introducing our guest?
I would love to. I was hoping you'd ask me. So tonight, we, as you mentioned, we have not only guests, but we have friends, good friends, family in this field, our parafamilia, according to Anthony. We have the brilliant innovators and wonderful people, Rania and Lourdes Gonzalez of Gonyak Paranormal and the Digital Sands Experience.
So, do I have to put their faces on?
Round of applause.
Here we go. Hey, here they are.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Hey.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you. We love being here with you guys.
yeah, I'm
I
glad
know,
you
it's
guys
about
are here.
time, right?
Look,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to
No, I
say
kept
something
saying, I'm like,
wrong.
when are we having Ron Lourdes on? I don't make our schedule. Anthony is in charge of that.
He's got the social calendar, that guy.
Yeah, it does.
And we're doing good. We got, like I said, people to May booked on.
Oh, cool.
Lots of good people coming
pretty
up.
good.
Yeah, he was booking everybody in Hanover, Virginia that he could talk to. He's got the chef from the restaurant. He's got the guy parking the cars. You want to do a podcast? I got a podcast in Jersey. You want to do it? I'm in New York. You want to do the
Let's
podcast?
talk about the parking lot or something. Hey, it has history.
I'm waiting for Bill Chappell to show up because he does digital dowsing.
Yeah, I know.
Digital dowsing. That was an interesting one.
I was like, after I said it, I'm like, and then I just let it go because I know I'm going to be trashed for it. So, hey.
Yeah, he included the radio. He named a different maker of equipment. we could have not been here tonight.
Yeah.
He's like, hey.
He's family.
Yeah.
I need cue cards.
We
He's
did.
Like that, he's like that uncle, you know, that you're just like, yeah, okay.
We had a presentation Friday night in Hanover. We did the investigation Saturday to run the digital seance, but Friday was a presentation demonstration, and of course she was not there. So Steve Dills of Transcend Paranormal, who runs the event, introduces me, and then he goes in his more than lovely partner, Lourdes Gonzalez, and he points at Anthony. So everybody laughs, and I went, here is your cautionary tale for online dating. And I pointed at her picture. I went, that was the ad on the profile. And then I pointed at him and went, that was the first date.
Hey, how you doing?
But everybody called him Lourdes the whole weekend.
Yeah. They were taking pictures of me and posting it on Facebook. I'm here with Lourdes.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I received several of those private messages.
Oh, no.
Like I
Lourdes,
said,
how was your weekend? How was your weekend?
It was beautiful. I spent 6 days, 7 days.
At least 7, yeah.
7 days, a little over a week in Florida. So I saw my 2 daughters and my granddaughter, and we're actually buying a house. So hopefully it'll all work out. So good vibes, please, because I really need this.
Okay.
So we had a great weekend. We looked at houses. We spent time together. It was great.
Very
So
good.
I'm already missing them.
I bet.
Yeah.
Oh, nothing like my daughter just got married, and I'm already thinking, oh, I see pictures that you post, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday.
It will happen.
It will. Probably happen sooner before you even realize it.
Oh, okay.
I give him 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't give him that.
No, you think it'll be sooner?
A
Oh,
year.
It could be.
A
I love
year.
it.
I'm thinking 2
year,
years.
I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
We shall see. Mark the calendar.
Yes.
2 years from
And
now.
shouts out to both 305ers,
Yeah.
Mary Beth, Christoph Allgod with Stay
Yeah.
Haunted coming soon
Yes. Coming
with those
soon.
Cocos.
Mm-hmm. New
Mhm.
podcast coming soon.
Mary
Can't
Beth.
wait.
Yeah, likewise, Mr. Christoph. Yeah, that's really cool. I think that what they're going to do and what you guys are doing, I was going to make a joke in the beginning, but then Anthony took it in so many different directions with naming everybody else. But like, we look forward to this on Tuesday. I was going to say in the beginning, I want to just get this over with because on Tuesdays I like to sit back and watch Seeker's Chronicles because I do. I do.
Oh,
We watch you guys every week if at all possible, which is usually the case. And I think the show is great. You guys have a very unique take on stuff, very insightful commentary with Anthony and Jennie. Kimm is unfreaking believable with nailing things down on these places. It's the concept is really cool. We really enjoy the show.
thank
There was
you.
someone actually, who was it? Oh, Chad Thomas. Thomas wants to meet Kim.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
He's gonna come to the February 8th event so he can meet you.
Oh, great.
Good.
Awesome.
I
Yeah.
know, he
Because,
was
we're
hoping
going to
to
be
get
seeing each
there.
other in a few days to do
Yeah.
a seance. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
really
Cool.
excited about that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Ron, for those really kind words. We love having you on. And I haven't had my dose of the both of you in a while. So I get this and this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Likewise.
Mhm.
This is very cool. We were looking forward to this also, but yeah, I was going to joke about that because that's on Tuesdays. I want to sit over there and I want to watch you guys and Mr. Forget About It.
Hey.
Well, if you want to sit on your couch or whatever, go for it.
Yeah, I may walk off at some point and go watch this.
Go grab a beer, pull up
Yeah,
a
well-
chair.
We'll hang out with Lourdes. I missed her this weekend.
I'm Anthony. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, you
Oh,
look
I know.
like him.
I'm Anthony. Yeah, I do, right? Like you.
Like, yeah, this is I was like when they were like, you like Lourdes? I said, yeah. I said, well, I let myself go a little bit since that picture was taken.
Little.
Yeah.
Aw.
Christoph's mentioned in the Gettysburg Bash. That's going to be awesome. Yeah, Pam and Steve Barry were also present this weekend in Hanover. It's a nice group. It was a nice group of people. The speakers lineup that they had was really diverse. I think it was good. I ended up going on stage a second time when Steve Barry talked about his near-death experience. He wanted me to come up and join him, and a little bit for the support of like the anomalous voice work we do. But I didn't think that was the supporting stuff he needed. I learned a little bit more into the consciousness stuff and analytic idealist philosophy because I think there was a lot of supporting stuff that would help explain what he was sharing experientially from having near-death experience. He had two other people who had those experiences come up and tell their stories, which were not planning on doing it, but they did. It was really cool. That was a great event.
Very
Yeah.
cool. I'm going to try to get there next year. You'll be there next year, right?
Yeah.
We should
Hopefully,
do that every year. Me and one of the Lord.
at the table.
There's only one.
Or
I'll
both.
be there with-
Maybe it'll
with,
be arm
when
in
it comes
arm.
up.
Very cool.
Next year I'll have a table there too. I already spoke to him.
Yeah.
Let me know. So I'm gonna do my pictures there.
Anthony and I had the room together, and somebody asked us if he snored, and he goes, "No, I don't snore anymore." He's got the machine, so he's got the thing over his nose, not the whole mask, and then the big tube coming out, running into this device. I said, "I feel like I'm sharing a room with a Star Wars character."
It's like,
And then I called him Obi-Wan Kenobi.
oh my God. That has to be a t-shirt.
See the abuse addict do?
That
I
should be a
love it.
T-shirt. You're
Right?
right.
That's
But
good.
it
With
was
the
fun.
cannoli on it.
That
Oh
was
my
a good
gosh,
one.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
That
was
was a
best
good one
holding
there, but it was a good weekend. We really did. Like I said, they had the thing for
Dave Taylor.
Yeah,
Dave
for David
Taylor.
Taylor. I did a candlelight vigil outside.
That was
for him.
very nice. Yeah, I saw the
Yeah.
video. Yeah.
yeah, that was nice. They did that, but it was a nice weekend. I really did. I'd enjoyed, and I'm glad. And I wish you were there, Loke.
I wish I was there too. I mean, I missed being there at that event and then with all of you guys. I was a little sad that I wasn't able to make it. But next
Yeah.
year.
And Anthony, what was one of the first things that kept coming through when we first started running this digital seance system Friday night?
All it did was saying, Lourdes,
Oh yeah, always.
Lourdes. I'm like, and I kept on saying, what? What? What do you want?
I wonder though, because when my name does come through, my father's name is Lourdes. As I always wonder, are they referring to me or is it my dad? I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah, she's a junior.
I'm technically a junior.
You're a two.
Because Lourdes is a unisex name,
Right.
actually. No, a lot of people don't know that, but it's a unisex name. So yeah.
No, so you learn things on this show. Your name comes through all the time. I mean, actually, we should probably back up because some people watching might, if they live under a rock, may not know what we're saying when we say it comes through. So maybe you guys could start talking to us a little bit more about the digital seance experience.
See? She's a pro. Because I was like, I don't even know what we're talking about. What do we do? I don't know. We were sent here by a temp agency. We have no idea.
Sorry.
We had a cancellation, couple of them, and they were not doing nothing. We say, hey, let them have a shot.
Yeah.
And they're like, we got nothing going on.
Let's talk about dowsing rods.
Yeah, let's talk about dowsing rods.
Yeah.
So the digital seance experience is a method that we use communication with spirit, and we use white noise. We use a white noise generator, and we pipe it through the laptop.
What's it called again?
Digital.
Say it slow.
Digital seance experience.
Okay.
And we use the filtering of the white noise. We slow it down, filter it, and we've been getting voices. So there's no radio involved. We slow down the white noise, filter it, and we're getting anomalous, intelligent responses to our questions. And I know you want to add some other stuff.
No, that was pretty damn good. Yeah, we're no signal, no recording, just pure white noise, filtered, slowed, runs through an interface, and then the software does everything people do with audio capture when they go home. We're doing it in the moment of contact in real time. It's derivative of direct radio voice, which predates the Spirit Box, Frank's Box, or Ghost Box modalities. We brought it back in 2019, and this is kind of where it's wound up so far. It's been awesome. I mean, we still we work at improving it, but at the same time, it's never stops to amaze us, right? It never ceases to amaze. When you get something, you still always have a little bit of that rock back, whoa, that just happened. I just heard that. And when we have those moments for other people, which when we bring it out of the house, that's what it's for. We want to do for our own self and our own contact and loved ones. We can do it here. When we bring it out, it's for other people. And there were some profound moments, even in Virginia, that happened this weekend. So
nice.
That's the rewarding part for us.
Yeah, I think it's important to note though that the white noise generator that we do use, for those of you who may not understand Focusrite and interface, it's an external device. So it's not within the software. It's external from the laptop that we use. So for me personally, it makes it even more interesting that we are getting voices, right? Because if the white noise is in there, it could leave some questions. But how can you get something from an external and an internal? I don't know. It's just it's fascinating to me. So I love that the white noise generator is an external piece and not within the software.
Yeah, it's not part of the computer and stuff. It is a separate box that you feed through, and then goes from that back into the computer. So it's not part of the computer. So nobody can say, well, it's programmed in the computer that you could do anything you want. It's not a program for the computer, but it's a separate unit that fed to the computer. So that's what's perfect about it,
And that's what I think makes the when you get personal experiences, those life-changing experiences, that's what makes it fascinating, because they see how it's set up, and it's like, how are we getting these voices that's responding to our questions?
Yeah.
And when they get their loved ones come through it validates it even more for them.
Any source of pure white noise, internal or external, can do the same job. A lot of the external part of it, for me, deals with appearances, because I think as soon as you start resembling what an app would look like, whether it's a phone or a Windows based, I feel like you take a hit in credibility, possibly. That, I mean, it doesn't mean it doesn't work.
Right.
I've seen apps work.
What we love to do is to take out that low hanging fruit, which would be
Right.
something like that. But it would work.
And people who don't believe in this type of stuff are going to find something to hang their hat on anyway. We just try to make it harder for them to hang the hat.
I want to show you an old picture, and this is an old picture. So this is how it started with you guys, so people get an idea.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
With
My-
the
That was-
radio.
The boombox.
That was fairly close to. So for people watching, around 2019, we started with just that radio. There was no, and that's the former computer that I outgrew with this.
Yeah.
We didn't even have that. It was just the radio, and we got voices. I should have, and I could share a clip that we got at Kingsland Manor with a full tone female voice saying something that was indicative of a different time period. That was no software. We were getting voices without software. I think what the live filtration and software does is I think it just allows us to hear more of what's going on. I don't think it actually, that was one of the things in the beginning. We didn't even show the software a lot. When I would do a podcast, I would show the radio, even though I was using this. Because people see computer stuff, they go, oh, that's where it's happening. That's
Right.
just filtration, and that's just processing the sound. It's not the facilitator of the communication, if there is such a thing in place now. That's not where it's happening. It's the white noise. So I would show the radio, but before there was even software with just that radio, we were getting voices. They weren't as clear. They weren't as frequent. That's where the software comes in. The pioneers of direct radio voice would say they would go 6 months, sometimes a year or so, no voices. I don't think the voices went away, because you could do EVPs during that time period and probably still get them. I think the direct radio voices went away because of the resonance at the time wasn't sufficient enough to jump up over the noise floor and be detectable. And they weren't filtering anything in real time. So whatever didn't resonate loud enough with amplitude was simply not going to be heard.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Now, when I first saw your setup, I saw the silver radio. That would look like a black radio. Were there two different ones, or was it always that one?
Oh, the
Yeah.
little one.
Yeah.
After
No,
a
it was
while,
big. It was a big silver gray
Yeah.
radio.
Was it? Well, no,
Well,
that's it. That's
that was
silver-
it.
silver
That
and
was black and had silver accents on it.
Yeah.
But it was
Okay,
it was
maybe
black.
it was that one. Maybe
We
it was
went
that one.
to, after a while, for lack of wanting to go to a chiropractor, we started carrying smaller world band radios that had the same frequencies available, like long wave.
Hmm.
And then we were doing the same thing with a smaller setup. The radio was maybe like this big instead of the boombox. But yeah, that was the first radio. That was the biggest radio we played with. And that was even bigger, well, almost. I have an old vacuum tube radio on the shelf that we use, but it doesn't have an audio out because how old it is. So we never ran it through anything. It was just an old tube radio.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
that
I remember that. It
beautiful
was the
too.
biggest radio I've ever seen.
Yeah.
When I saw it.
Yeah.
But I do remember when we first started with the software with that radio with the boombox. When he first turned it on, I heard a lot of voices. So many voices that you couldn't discern what they were saying. Like you were in the crowd. Like it was so many voices. So that's when he started messing around with the software and the settings to trickle down some of those voices, because you couldn't have them all at once. You can't understand them. But I remember thinking, this must be how some mediums feel when they're first coming into their gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be
Can be.
overwhelming, because it felt overwhelming. Yeah.
Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah.
We
That makes
learned,
sense.
I was
Yeah, it can get
mentored in
kind of loud out there for sure.
I was mentored into direct radio voice by the last surviving vocal phenomenon pioneer in Europe, which is Dr. Annabella Cardoso, who I still talk to. And then the software was introduced to us by a gentleman from Paranormal.com named Keith Clark, and we used it a little bit. He gave us a basic setup for filtration in real time, and I used it for a little while. And then because of a lot of what she heard, all those voices, I kind of went away from it and went back to the purest version of just the radio to do what Annabella Cardoso was doing. But then I was like, there's something to this. There was something to it with the software. So we went back And then for 2 years or so, I just went bonkers with trying every possible intuitive, counterintuitive setting till it developed into something. And then now to this day, we still, for obvious reasons, stay with doing the filtration in real time with software.
Right.
I think what was his advantage was not knowing enough about, sound engineering and all that, because he was able to try things that someone that's works with sound wouldn't try, right?
Mhm.
And so I think that helped him, and it didn't impede him from trying things that a sound person wouldn't try. So
Sure.
Yeah, with the beginner's
yeah,
Yeah.
mind. Yeah, yeah. Being
yeah.
open
It's
to it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm. There's
Yep.
no rules or regulations. It's it's open. Everything is open, free
Yeah.
free
Pure
of thought.
creativity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tried a
That's
lot of
Well,
stuff.
one of the things that I love about it is, and we've here had quite the privilege of seeing the progression. And I will say, I mean, I absolutely recognize the progression of the clarity and the voices and the responses. I mean, it's been incredible to just be a passenger, and like every time we show up, it's like, oh, it's even better. Oh, it's even better. Oh, it's even different. It's
Yeah.
even this. But I also
Mhm.
love the fact that it's a seance. Like, I love that it's a modality that can be used in a group. Like,
Yeah.
it brings everybody together. It's there's something about it that setting up the room, everybody in, and everybody is laser focused and listening. It's
Mm-hmm.
really cool.
Yeah.
I
Right.
appreciate that. We've had a couple of friends suggesting alternative names for it. One of reasons being that that there are some people who still attach negative connotations from old occultism ideas to
Right.
seance, but some of the other
Sure.
words that were thrown in the mix to possibly substitute had the same connotations, I thought,
Yeah.
Mhm.
as seance did. And I agree with you too. And I think we ran into that once in several years doing live events called Digital Seance Experience or Initiative um, events, and we ran into it once at one place. We did the place and sold it out with a waiting list. The next year, they didn't want us to use the word seance, and then we were 2 weeks before the event, and we'd only sold 6 tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when people are going to wonder what this is and come, or they're not going to know what, or they're going to know what it is rather, and then they're going to come. So I feel the way you did. I appreciate that, Kim. That's how I felt with it. That it sets the stage for what's going to happen, at least to enough of a degree that you know what a seance kind of resembles. And then the digital part may beg questions, and that's okay, because
Yeah.
then we can answer those.
Yeah. Because what we did for
Right.
that event was that last week on Facebook, we did
Oh
use
yeah.
the word seance, and the tickets picked up, and we
Sure.
almost sold it out within that week. So the word seance was the
Mhm.
draw, but the town itself
Yeah.
did not like the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people know what it is. They know what a seance is. And if they're drawn and open to something like that, they're going to come.
Right.
If they're not really your people. You don't want them
No.
coming
Right.
anyway.
Yeah.
No, I
Exactly.
agree. The only difficulty with that is when the people who are not quite your people are the ones that are in charge of the venue.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
With
I mean,
the double
you can't
standard,
control that. That
right?
was a weird thing. That was,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, we sold it
Mhm.
out with a waiting list, and then they didn't
Yeah,
want
that
us
was
to use
weird.
the same formula that worked the year
Yeah.
before.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
that's
But
Yeah.
crazy.
but we
that's
did. We did it.
At the end, and the
unfortunately part
last
of it.
attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
it's
remember this
meaningful to
weekend we
you.
had somebody ask what's the difference between the digital seance
In
and a
Virginia,
regular
that's right.
seance.
Yep.
And of course, the psychic answered, and then I had to cut him over. Like, Ron, tell him your story,
Yeah.
because because there's a big difference. There is a big difference, you know,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
and it worked out fine. I mean, I think what we did was better than what the psychics were doing at the time, because we get more answers. You know.
I love when we work with mediums. I think it's great
Exactly.
when
I was
it's
just gonna say that, like when you
yep,
work
the
with
digital
Richard.
seance
Mhm.
experience with the right
Mhm.
mediums. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
say, like,
Yeah, the
like
right
our
one.
people mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Not
It does
even this.
work
It's like,
really well together. Yeah, Kim, you're one of them. Yeah.
Kim,
Richard is one of them. We have a
Richard.
couple of them.
Yep.
But yeah, it works really well because it's fascinating when a medium picks up something that they can possibly know. And
Mhm.
then when you have that and then it comes out through our method, how can you
Oh, yeah.
dispute that? How can
Great.
Yeah.
you,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
just a
Validation.
fascinating
Yep.
experience.
Yeah,
See,
it's gonna tell us.
the
Yeah.
mediums and psychics we work with already know what you guys are about. The
Right.
other psychics that they come in and they'll talk over you guys, and because they don't, didn't like the people that we know already
Right.
dealt, and they know how to sit down and listen and what you guys are doing. But the
Right.
ones that are coming in and they're coming in and they start working with you, they don't they I feel like they don't have the kind of respect that the people that we that grew up with us who grew up with
Yeah.
understand how to do it.
Yeah, it's a
I,
different mindset too. I think
Yes.
when they're not used to working with it and they go into their own thing, they're doing their own thing.
they're not realizing it. I don't
Right.
think they're trying to be
No,
disrespectful.
Right.
no, they're
It's just,
not.
yeah,
But at
so-
times like that, when those moments have happened, I've shut it off.
Hmm.
And then I've seen
and you let them
I've
do their
seen one of
thing.
them like look to the speaker and ask a question and they're waiting for an answer. And I looked at them and I went, it's off. And they go, it's off. I went, yeah, well, because you're competing with it, it's competing with you. Neither one of you is going to have an effective connection with the audience.
Hmm.
Do it in tandem if we have to, but if you're both spewing out sounds, you and the speaker at the
It's
same
too much
time, you're
distraction.
both being diluted by each other. So then I would just shut
Yeah.
it off. But
Yeah.
in tandem, it's been fantastic. It's
Yeah.
just, I mean, it just makes sense. It's like having a baseball game and a football game happening right next to each other in the same stadium. You're going to miss something.
Or
Yeah.
two people doing a lecture and speaking at the same time. How
Yeah.
can you possibly pay attention to both?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
No.
We had a good time this weekend. I really did. Missed you, Lourdes.
Aw.
So,
I really missed it.
Lourdes, we talked about a little bit about Ron having a certain background that made him more creative with us, but like your background, can you talk a little bit about that?
Excellent question.
Well,
She was
I don't
born
wish
with a
I
silver
could
spoon.
Yeah, in her hand that she's willing to wield at any given time.
Well,
The
I
soup
mean,
spoon, it
even
hurts.
if it's as related to this, how it helps you.
Well, as far as being a court reporter in that aspect and listening to voices, I think it gives me an advantage of being able to pick up those really low voices or overlapping voices. I can
Right.
Yeah.
hear both voices at the same time.
And
Mhm.
So as far
languages.
as my career, yeah, I can I have an advantage with that. And then as the paranormal, I actually, like a lot of us, I was born into it. But
Okay.
or well, a lot of us have paranormal experiences, but I say born into it because my family practices espiritismo, which is a form of mediumship in the Caribbean. So, and they were physical mediums, but my mom and I didn't practice, but most of the family did. So I think those experiences that I had throughout those years, even though I had some experiences that kept me away from it, but when I met him, it just sucked me back in. So I think from having a family experience with Espiritismo has, like, I knew that I had to respect the paranormal, but I knew it was real and I respected it, but I didn't mess
Yeah.
with it too much,
No, I
at that
understand.
time. So yeah.
But you were
Yeah.
exposed to it in a great
Oh,
deal.
all the time.
Yeah.
Because not only that, but then I also have my own experiences through dreams and things like that would happen, So
Yeah.
yeah, so I
Chris?
think all those experiences helped me.
Christoph.
What else also
Yeah.
helps too? I mean, you and I come from certain areas.
We come from the same neighborhood,
In the hood.
10 years
Come from the
apart,
hood.
but we hung out in the same areas. It's so funny because he's
Yeah.
one of the first people that hung out in the same hung out in cemeteries for the same reason that I did, and it was because the neighborhood was bad, and in the parks, well, the drug addicts were. You see
Mhm.
needles and stuff all over the place. So all the rest of
dead
us that
people
didn't
were
do
good.
that, we hung out in the
Yeah.
cemetery. That's
Yeah, we did our stuff and this everything.
he did the same thing.
But yeah, like the areas we come from, the streets and stuff, and the schools we went to. Growing up that way too, you
Yeah.
learn to listen to what's around you to keep yourself out of trouble or not to get hurt or something like that. It's the experience that you might people don't think you're listening, but you're listening.
You're
You know?
paying attention. It makes you
Mhm.
pay attention. And when you
Yeah.
pay attention to
Mhm.
life and what's going on, you see things.
Yeah.
You learn, you grow.
Yeah.
You have that like situational awareness.
Yeah, and you have to
Helps you a
have
lot.
that too. if you're in certain streets and certain situations. Like I said, we hung out the same areas. I mean, like 10 years of difference, but it was still the same type of area after
Yeah.
10 years.
I know, like Frank and Kayleen. He went to Frank and Kayleen. I would have never went to Frank and Kayleen. It was horrible. I was afraid to go there because I knew that I would either wound up dead or I wouldn't have nothing. Nothing would have came from anything of
Right.
being there. So I didn't.
Wow.
But Anthony ventured to Frank and Kayleen.
He
Hey,
made
how
it.
you make out like this
Yeah.
on the long hairs?
And not to confuse the two things though, because the situational awareness thing is huge, and I don't just point it out because of the god of situational awareness, Christoph Allgod, is in the audience. I don't say it just because of that.
For sure.
But her work has her listening to voices on recordings where they're not organized, they're on top of each other, they're at a distance, their accents, cadences, speeds, like dialects, it's all over the boards, and she has to take that down as a testimonial for the state record. So it's not easy work to do, and she does that masterfully. So when we listen to audio, there have been several, especially in the beginning before the clarity got better, where she would hear stuff and go back, and I would be like, son of a, there is something there. I don't know how she hears it. But it is the training. It's part of the, obviously there's different hearing ranges for males and females, especially at given ages. But yeah, the training for listening to that stuff is not people who do that, and she's not the only one on the planet who does it.
No, because Chris,
but that is a big deal.
Chris, like one of the things that I learned how to do was when there is several people talking, I'm really good at concentrating on that one voice. Yeah. And I know Chris has done that. He used to practice. He told us the story once that I think it was Chris.
Flip Searles told you that.
Was it Flip? Mm-hmm. Okay, it was Flip. That he would be in a crowded room
like
and he would in a bar and try to concentrate on one voice only.
Yeah,
and he's a really good EVP person.
Yes.
It's like switching the radio channel. So you just do it with your awareness. So, and especially when the voices come in on it, they can come in all kinds of different, some are high, some are low, some are fast, some are, but usually when they're coming in, it's consistent. Like if one's saying something, it's a consistent tone, feminine, young, male, like you can hear this, it's consistent level, you know what I mean? Like it's not like one person being like, oh, it's
right.
Anyway. So yeah, so practicing like that, it's like changing the dial with your intention and your focus. And it's awesome practice to do that at like a diner or something like that. It's really fun. I've done that too. It's part of mediumship practice, actually.
Oh, look at that. I didn't even know.
You're shifting your focus to a different level. Yeah.
Right
on.
That's good advice. Try that, everybody. Give it a try.
Yeah. Next time if you're out at a diner, or you're in Jersey or in a restaurant. So I have to use this now at the seance. No joke. I'm gonna. I can't.
That's
use
a
this
great
weekend,
idea.
Absolutely want to try it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love live listening.
Yeah,
it's great when you hear those voices. Yeah, it was one of my favorite things too.
Take it off.
I know.
Yeah, there are certain recorders that can do that. I know that the Tascam DR05
and the Olympus she has
the Olympus,
this one.
Mm-hmm, I have that one too.
Yeah, that's the
one I used to use for live listening.
Yeah, I first saw somebody doing that when I lived in California when I first started doing paranormal stuff, and this lady heard an EVP in real time, and then played it back, and nobody else heard it or recorded it. And went, "How did you hear that?" And then she showed me the Tascam with the headphones, and I was doing it nonstop for a while because I was the same way. I was like, "You hear a lot more."
Yeah,
things like footsteps really helps.
Yeah,
footsteps, everything. It is good.
Whispers,
using that.
Yeah,
my brother used to have the head ones, like the headphones with the like sound, like picks up everything. But
it's like having a parabolic microphone almost.
Yeah, exactly. But the problem with that was it would interfere with the microphones on the cameras.
Right.
I would get a high pitch because I could pick up the hum or whatever is coming from that his headphones. And he's like, yeah. So, but what she has, you won't have to worry about that.
Exactly. It worked beautifully over the weekend.
I want to show you another old picture. Is that okay with you guys?
Memory lane.
No.
Yeah.
Of course.
Ron's like, maybe.
See what's
Yeah,
on the
this-
screen? TDS.
TDSI. That's a
Yes,
digital
sir.
seance at the UFO
Initiative.
and Paranormal Museum
Yeah.
in Pine
That's
Bush.
the first one you did over there.
Yeah, that was what, like 2022.
Was it?
Yeah, and
I think so. Yeah, 2020.
Yeah, it was almost 3 years ago. Yep.
yeah, that's it.
Yep.
And that's where you got the
The
dog
barking.
show.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yep,
Yeah.
because that's Kelly right there, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
yeah,
That
that was.
Kelly. You see Kelly?
Yeah.
And I just want to get these because I want to get them out of the way because I want to go into other stuff too.
Oh, those are great.
And here's an old picture. Remember this?
Oh my God.
That was a Holte Ghost box. There's one of those Tascam recorders I was talking about with my
Yeah.
phone also recording.
That's a good box, man.
If I'm not mistaken, that was in New Jersey in the basement of some place on that plastic chair.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was. I didn't. It's not marked. It had numbers under it, so
Yeah.
Did you
I
see?
didn't
That's a
mark.
Katie Holte box.
Yeah, Katie Holte made that box of Holte
Holte
Paranormal.
Paranormal. You should check them out. They make good stuff. But yeah,
Sure
that-
do.
Yeah,
And,
we still have it.
yeah.
It-
We
and the next one is kind of blurry, but it shows some of your stuff. So, and this is all night vision. So
oh, the TV. Look at
the
the
TV.
portal.
Yeah, that's the portal box with the guitar pedals on it for a little reverb and noise gate. That was the a UHF or VHF white noise frequency running through. There may have been the computer behind it with software. There was a radio and that running through. I would do heterodyning frequencies. We would blend things through a mixing board, tone generators, UHF, VHF, long wave, medium wave.
Yeah, that's when we were doing video looping too at that
Yeah,
time.
we did a lot of different things to try to just see what would add
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, especially with the white. See, you guys had an idea with the white noise to begin with, because that's when we went to TVs and other stuff. Also, anything that produced the white noise besides radios. So you had the idea about white noise for a long time
Right.
until
Oh,
you
yeah.
got a generated box and you separate it. So
Well, white
yeah.
noise is a big part of the paranormal. It's been used
Mhm.
for a long, 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 long time. Even some mediums now, like his friend Mariah,
Mhm.
when she when we're doing EVPs, or she'll kind of make white noise like this on the bed.
Really?
And sometimes we'll get
Yeah.
voices from it. But
Interesting.
white noise has been used for EVP support for the longest time.
Yeah,
So it makes sense,
Yeah.
right? It's
And I
that last
remember-
picture was actually at the Conjuring House.
Oh,
Oh, okay, that was a Conjuring House.
That was the
Oh,
Conjuring.
maybe. You know what? You're right. It was in the
Mhm.
Conjuring House.
Because I remember the
Mhm.
TV from there and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had brought those things too.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was another good weekend. Spent so much time with you guys. I don't know. It was
that was did you write that? Ron's a fabulous author. You wrote this around that time? Or was it-
Possibly, yeah. I actually sometimes have to look on Amazon on the author page I have to see when the books came out. I know that that's the
2023.
third one,
Right.
and that has a lot of the stories about people's profound experiences.
2023.
2023 this one was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
we went to the Conjuring House before that.
So it would be one of the earlier ones then.
We went like 2020, 2023, 2021, 22.
It was the third book, no?
That's the third
Yeah.
book we held up. Yeah, TDSI is the third
Yeah.
book. Yep.
I
Yeah.
may as well show, some of them.
Show all of them.
Yeah.
Show all 5 books.
Yeah, ITT Technomancy. That was the second one. This is how you know who your friends are, because she still
Except the
has them,
first one I
22.
lent,
and they're not in the fireplace yet.
and the first one I lent out, so I'll have to move on to this one more
Number
recently.
4,
And
Paranormalization,
then
Memoirs of an
Which
Which
Academic
I
Lay
love.
Person.
I love that name. I
love
love
this one.
Yeah.
Paranormalization,
Yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
okay, but I took my time reading this one.
Technomancy.
Like I flew through the other ones, but this one I really took my time reading. And I think when you read it, you'll understand why.
I appreciate that. The last 2, Paranormalization and that one, were my favorite ones, especially that one, because over the last 2 or 3 years was when we had the infusion I started with, and then I got her hooked like I've never seen her hooked on anything paranormal before, on on the philosophy of mind, of consciousness, and metaphysics called analytic idealism. It's changed our whole approach. How we look at the paranormal, how we explain things.
It changed my whole life.
Most people in the paranormal don't take the moment. They don't realize what metaphysics, everything that they think or explain phenomena with, is a part of. But it is part of some metaphysics. There is some foundation for reality, and most of us don't know what it is. This put me in touch with that, and then I did the same with her, and it just changed everything. So this specific man, Dr. Bernardo Castro, I've read all 11 of his books, watched tons of his interviews and courses, academic white papers. He had one of the most unique with regard to the UAP phenomena. And this was a cool thing that just last week, because I'm part of a workshop group. It's a private workshop group for the Essentia Foundation, which is one of the things that he chairs, studying analytic idealism. So I actually got to have a conversation and talk to him.
It was pretty cool
last week, which for me was huge because of the two people that influenced me the most in my paranormal journey were Dr. Annabelle Cardoso, who I talked to, and now Dr. Bernardo Castro, who I've talked to. I was like a kid, just like when he spoke. Yeah, so I'm still kind of reeling from it, but that changed everything. So the fifth book that you said you took more time with, I appreciate the Afterlife Contact, because it takes a lot of the framework of paranormality, and it explains things through the lens of analytic idealism.
Yes.
And there's different types of idealism. There's subjective idealism. This is more of a derivative of objective idealism. But Jung, Schopenhauer, Spinoza, it goes back. But it's changed everything, and now the way I explain things, what I will and won't explain, the lens we see things through now, it changed everything. So
yeah, it changed my whole. You know what? My life, as far as the paranormal and the normal, analytic idealism made me make sense of all of it, and it gave me and it gave me the ability now to think further, because I was stuck without realizing that I was stuck. If that makes any sense. I didn't realize that I was stuck.
It does.
Right? I knew something, like what he speaks of, and he says this, that there's a lot of us that feels it and knows what's going on, but they don't have the words to express it. And so when I heard him express it, it automatically makes sense. I was like, he just changed my life. It just clicked. He's amazing. And I think analytic idealism is a benefit to the world, honestly, not just for the paranormal, honestly.
Yeah. That's part of what I was able to discuss with him is to be an ambassador for it in the field of paranormal research, but not an activist. He said in 15 or so years of his speaking on it, he's not ever made anybody influence or changed any minds. How she mentioned it, they don't have the words for it, but it resonates. Sometimes a seed gets dropped. It lands in the lower parts of the psyche, which are not in the front of your mind, so to speak, and then it'll percolate, and then later on something maybe brings it back up to the surface, kind of a thing. But so it's not an activist type of position, but certainly to be an ambassador for this in the field that we're in, with his support and the education from him is mind-blowing for me. Yeah, Todd and Carmela, the Cocos, also I think were two of the people where it kind of resonated with them when they heard it.
Sure.
And then they started asking questions. But and so that last book reflects a great influence on it. I wrote an academic paper, which is in that book, on stone tape theory and psychometry, that I believe that the experiences happen, but that the way we currently explain them now are empirically inadequate. They're internally inconsistent, and it doesn't hold up. But they happen in such a way where through idealism, it can make sense and not clash with science. And that paper, much to my surprise, I assure you, I just put it up there to say I had a paper on academia. It was top 5% for several weeks in 2024. I think because of the oddball, unique approach of explaining that, which I've never seen anybody challenge it for how it's currently explained, but I did, to take this perspective. And the funny thing is how it even happened. Sam Baltrusis, who was just at the Virginia event, he asked me to answer 5 questions for one of his books, I think on Sleepy Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to the
Yes.
5th question, and he's asking me to explain, or what do I think about stone tape theory? And I went to type, and I went, huh. And I realized I had the aha moment. I can't explain this the way I always have, the way the field does.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make something's wrong. And then I thought it through from the idealist perspective now, because I'm seeing things differently. And it turned into like an 8 to 10 page paper. And I
Wow.
went like, that's different now. And
Yep.
from that, I realized that this is now the lens I'm going to see things through. And as I explain things, it just comes from that.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can see that I have
Love
a
it.
bookmark. I have a bookmark in here, Bobby Gallo bookmark, and that is exactly what I have bookmarked. Because one of the things that really resonated with me is I actually wear a shirt that has the definition of pre-bunk on it to expose the falseness of hollowness of a myth, right?
Uh-huh.
So in the paranormal, we have so many of those, and you have a great chapter on that, on axioms, right?
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
have in the paranormal, and this is something I've been doing for so long, and I was like, yes, and starting with stone tape theory, I would say, like, how is
Mhm.
this holding energy? Like,
right.
explain that to me.
Yeah.
That's right.
No,
It has a battery.
Yeah, even like the portals and
How-
stuff. Like when I first
Yeah.
started with Ron again, I guess back in 2016, I would hear these portals and things. I wouldn't challenge them per se because I didn't have an explanation, but I knew it didn't make sense. Like
Right.
how do they know? Like they never gave me anything. I would ask, oh, they just know how to do it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not good enough for me. Like I need something else.
Exactly.
So knowing that these things happen and those explanations, I never fully committed to them. I never really, because it just didn't seem right. But
Yeah.
with under analytic idealism and the explanations that you can come up with that way, that makes sense to me.
Right.
Right. That makes sense.
That's
to me.
huge.
So,
That's huge to me, by the way, because Jennie, for people who may not have watched the show before, Jennie Colucci is an actual scientist. She's a highly educated, highly intelligent, talented paranormal investigator. So that coming from you, as the same compliments coming from Kimm and Anthony, mean a lot to me, because you guys have a wealth of experience and education behind you. For people watching, axioms are beliefs that are just held without question, as if they're just a given. And the
Right.
paranormal field is riddled with them. And so I
Mhm.
was looking at some of these things like mirrors are portals to other dimensions. Could that be true? Sure. But do we have any reason to lean into that as a possibility? Not that I'm aware of. The first time I walk into a place and somebody throws a coin into a mirror and it comes out of the other one, I'm on board.
In another
I
dimension.
haven't seen that happen yet.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
think
Right.
that maybe there's something that appears to be a portal. It appears, and we need language. We need something to describe it. So
Yeah.
whatever they are experiencing, people seem to believe that it seems to be a portal. But we don't think it's necessarily a portal. It's just a word that they are using because it's the closest word that they can come to describe what they're seeing or experiencing.
It's a convenient fiction because
Yeah.
when activity happens at a given place at a location, it just seems but that's what nature or reality is doing.
Right.
There must be a dimensional portal here because things are happening a lot here, so they must be coming in and out. But
Exactly.
nothing to support or explain that has ever surfaced to my knowledge.
No.
So
Yeah.
I started looking at that going, I think that's one of the things we need to abandon as a field, or we're going to always get taken a lot less seriously for doing it. The stone tape psychometry thing,
Mhm.
in a nutshell, came on the fact that the idea behind it is that something happens. Usually they say traumatic, but I've seen mediums doing psychometry or readings pull information from a house, like there was a woman with 2 puppies that lived there happily. So that's not traumatic. So trauma is not a prerequisite
No.
for this to
No,
happen.
it does
But
not
in
have
most
to be trauma.
No. That's
Right.
another axiom.
Right. But in most cases, the stories that people will tell in the paranormal have to do with something traumatic, some heightened sense of love and despair or whatever happened. And then through an
Right.
act of volition, they emote this feeling, and then it's stored in the wood of this Crown Victorian molding for years and years and years, only to be released for reasons no one's ever explained.
Right.
No play button.
Yeah.
Just a play button.
So, right, originally it was called Place Memory, and then because of a British film, it was changed. The title was taken from that, which was called The Stone Tape.
Mhm.
So, and psychometry, the same works fundamentally off the same idea that it's stored like that. And then when they touch the thing, they get, the information from it. So I looked at that and I was like, well, first of all, right, no play button. No one has ever announced or declared a trigger for the release of this information. How does it happen? It seems to be very.
I
All
have
right.
one.
Go ahead.
Okay.
It's your intention. So I
There you
read
go.
things by psychometry. It's all there, but it's your intention to look into the matrix of the energy that's within the object or whatever. It doesn't have to be an object. It can be a space. You walk
Right.
into the space of a house. It doesn't have to be an object, but it's with my understanding and my experience of it and how I'm able to even do any of whatever the hell's going on, which I don't still really even know either, is like, it's my intention guiding the focus. That's it. My consciousness, my own personal consciousness. And how I also describe it is like, it's all a haystack, everything, all the information is like a haystack. And I'm trying to find the needle in the haystack. And what am I doing? I'm using my consciousness to guide the needle through the haystack to collect, receive, translate some information. And that's it. That's all really that I feel like is happening. But
I can go with
oh
that.
gosh, it distracted me. But
that makes sense. But you're
I can go with that. That makes sense.
That explains that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jenny. I'm
No,
sorry.
I was just gonna say but you're not connecting to that stick. You're connecting to the consciousness that was around that stick.
Yes. Exactly. And that's where I was going with it. Like Kim's explanation makes sense. It doesn't clash with science. It's her experiential reasoning for what happens, and then how she feels it processes. And intention I can go with also. The problem with the way stone taper psychometry is currently explained is that, again, this is where the metaphysics come in, right? Which, a side note, the field also needs to stop thinking metaphysics means spiritual woo-woo stuff that's beyond science. It literally means that which stands behind the physics. So science tells us
how
what
the world works.
Right. Science tells us what
normal.
nature and reality does. It models and predicts behaviors. It doesn't tell us what's behaving. It doesn't tell us what nature and reality is. That's the metaphysics, or it's a philosophical argument to try to explain what might be fundamentally the substrate for reality.
Right.
So when you say that an emotion like despair and something traumatic happened, and then that feeling is stored in the wood, and then you come in there as a medium, you either touch something or you just do a reading, and then somehow it's released from the wood. And the problem with that is you're also dealing with classical physics. And so in order to know that despair or love is stored in the crown molding of some Victorian home in the wood, you have to be able to show at a molecular level, because again, we're talking about physics, right? You have to be able to show the discrete boundaries between the love or the despair and the molecular makeup of the wood. If you can't show that, then you can't lean on physics, and then it's an appeal to magic. It's pure guesswork. And the problem with that is that in order to show a boundary, in order to show physical parameters, we know from quantum electromagnetic field theory that physicality is the result of measurement. It doesn't exist prior to measurement.
Right.
So in order to know that you have despair or love stored in some wood or some rock or some crystal or something, you have to be able to observe and measure it. How do you measure an experiential state? What is the length of my love? What's the weight of my thoughts? You can't. So there's no way to quantify qualitative experiences showing that they're stored in some kind of material object. However, and this is where Kimm's thing dovetails nicely. If the house and what we consider physical is just representative of the world out there, but it's not the thing in and of itself, then that physical representation is just how it's perceived, but the thing fundamentally is mental or thought. Now you have thought or emotion or both intermingling with intention or thought and emotion, which the medium brings. And we know that that happens in nature because our thoughts and emotions influence and intermingle all of the time
with each other. Right.
Exactly.
You're not violating science for the purposes of saying that some despair is stored in the wood.
Right. I think some of it's language. Sometimes you mean what I said before about connecting to the consciousness, but what you say is it's in the limestone, and you don't really mean that. You don't really mean it's in the limestone.
Well, I think a lot of people who give that explanation do mean that, but
some people do. Yeah.
Well, Well, and I
Because
also will say, like, my experience of it, why like a major event may be the first thing I read on an object or in a place is because it leaves a stronger imprint in the energy matrix.
Okay.
So it will be like, it's almost like, I always explain it like, so everything is recorded for all time, forever and ever and ever in infinity in my experience, but it's like a layer of a cake. And some layers are strawberry and some are vanilla, and you're going to be drawn to the strawberry layer, right? Like my consciousness is going to be like, oh, I'm probably going to be drawn to like the strawberry layer, which is the drama, whatever. But you can read all of it. You don't have to just stop at the strawberry. And a lot of people just stop at the strawberry because they want drama, or their consciousness is only allowing them to read the strawberry. I'm going to read this piece of rock and I want to know who died here. Like that's a pretty limited reach for your consciousness.
Right.
You're either going to read somebody who died there or nothing. And so you're forgetting all the vanilla layers, which, that's all information too.
Right. No, I agree 100%. And that completely makes sense. That's why we like idealism, because it doesn't clash with science. That completely holds up as long as no one is not suggesting that something experiential is being held in something that's physical matter
and then
that
somehow
has
it's
standalone existence outside of consciousness. Because that's the other thing. Most people are existing within a duality. They think that everything in existence can be explained by both mind stuff and matter stuff, that it's a dichotomy, that these two things are jointly efficient to explain everything. But they're not a true dichotomy, because they would have to exist at the same level of abstraction, meaning in concept, right? To have anything that's physical matter, you have to perceive and then measure. So if it's for perception and measurement that you have physicality, in order to do those, what do you have to have first? Consciousness. So consciousness has primacy. So they're not at the same level of abstraction. So mind and matter are not a dichotomy for reality. Consciousness, we would argue, is the one irreducible thing from which everything can be explained, but that itself cannot be explained through its constituent parts. And that's the hard problem of consciousness. That's what one of the things that turned the accepted metaphysics of physical world out there outside of consciousness on its head, that there's no way, at least in principle, to explain the qualities of experience from any physical parameters. It's not possible to do it. And that's where the hard problem of consciousness comes in.
And I totally agree with that idea of consciousness and what your work is doing. And honestly, when I do any kind of mediumship or whatever, if I can just open up somebody's perspective, anybody's perspective to what they previously thought. And I know that is so important to the both of you as well, because that idea of consciousness running through it is exactly it, as the reducible constant, basically. And if you can, but people they're not there yet. The general population isn't there yet. They're stuck in the matter. They're stuck in the other thing. So absolutely, the more people that we can get their minds a little open to that idea, then they'll be on board.
Right.
Yeah.
And whatever you end up thinking, the whole idea is to test your, the things that you just accept. Like, the spirit drains our energy, you mentioned in the book, right? They use our energy. Like,
the batteries?
We're just taught that, right? Like in the paranormal. Things were just taught in the paranormal. And, I just urge people like you, just to, even if you decide in the end, that's what you believe. Okay. I may not, but you do. But think about it, challenge it. Let's advance the field by thinking it through.
The field has existed in a state of epistemic dependency for a long time, which is to say that everything that we learn is something that was passed down as accepted, and then we just took it as gospel and ran with it. And even when people go, well, you got to be logical. What is logic? Logic is a collection of axioms, and axioms are beliefs that are held without question. So you'll be filtering out information that may be relevant to changing your scope or how you look at things, purely because you're starting with axioms, and then the logic and reasoning is derivative of that platform, which excludes certain things.
I agree. I agree. And that's
So
why in my group, we never try not to use the evidence word. We just don't talk about proof. We don't talk about evidence. We talk about observations, experiences.
right,
Because
right.
if you just let that flow, that's when you start to put some thoughts together and then maybe have a theory and,
Right.
and really think differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing that's funny too with the battery drain thing is that, and that's another thing that you hear a lot, is that they're draining our batteries to manifest or do things. Sometimes they do things and no batteries are drained. Sometimes, perhaps the drain of the battery could be epiphenomenal. It's not the cause of the experience, but maybe the experience itself is what drains the battery.
Yeah.
But we do these things because
Right.
we see correlation. We go, oh, my battery's drained, and then something happens.
Almost like a power surge in a sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's a slippery slope sometimes, because correlation does not necessarily equal causality. You can always correlate with a large fire, a fire truck, and firemen, but that's not to say that they're the cause of the fire just because you can correlate those things. So we need to be careful with what we lean on in terms of causality versus maybe that just correlates with the experience itself.
Well, that's my favorite chapter. No, I love that. I love that
I appreciate it. I attempted to take some challenging approaches, and I challenged myself and the reader in this book for that reason.
Yes.
Because a lot of these things that are just held without question, and then we just run with these things, and then we're teaching them to the next generation. The concept of same of faith, the Bible, right? And that's the other thing too, that there's a certain level of circular reasoning in it too, and that's one of the examples actually that I'd read was would people would say, they would say God is real, and somebody would go, well, how do you know God is real? It says it in the Bible. Well, how do you know the Bible's reliable? It's the Word of God. So you have circular reasoning. So your initial question, right, has inherently accepted within it the thing that it's setting out to say. The statement's already accepted with the original question. So there's a lot of that too. I think just to re-examine and look at these things and maybe think on an ontological level, which is a study of beingness. What do you think reality is before you determine whether you think something is or isn't real? And I'm not saying that we're right. What I'm saying is that the approach from analytic idealism is more skeptically parsimonious, which means fewer steps in trying to explain stuff with what science and nature already shows us. If we can do that, that to us seems more rigorous and more efficient, instead of inventing theoretical entities like other dimensions and planes of existence that are completely unknowable to us and by definition illusory. We have no access to them.
Right. And I believe in the paranormal, people need to start when they have experiences, they tend to go to the physics, right? To explain it. And that will never work. It's never gonna work. It's gonna backfire on you. Philosophy is probably your best bet to go with to explain perhaps what may be happening. But with science will never help you with that. It only predicts what nature does. So that's another mistake that we tend to do in the paranormal field. We give these experiences, we tell them, but then we try to explain it with physics, and that's where we fail.
Yeah, it's beyond science. It's beyond. They can't measure it and talk to it. It's supernatural. It's paranormal, and I'll prove it to you with physics. What?
Doesn't work.
What? Did you just throw physics out of the room? That's your key witness now?
Yeah.
And then you're like, come back in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And then doesn't
science,
work.
pseudoscience.
You guys got a couple of videos here. You want to get into these?
Yeah, sorry. We could do this all
No, that's fine. I mean,
I don't want to get into not be able to show them.
Of course. Yeah, sorry.
Don't apologize. I love just being here talking. To be honest,
forget about it, Jennie.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you want? Do you want to see him or not? You can talk all night. I don't. Don't want to be a Mama Luke. Be a Mama Luke. Okay. Right. I did put one of my favorites on there.
Uh-oh.
Okay? This is my favorite. So this is one of my favorites when and this is at the museum, the UFO.
Yeah, he's already done.
Okay. I wanted to answer a question in the chat. I'll do that.
Go ahead, your question.
Because Todd and Coco's and Carmela and Coco's, do you think the work that's Bernardo Kastrup has done at one point in the future, the hard problem concept will or may be explained? No, it's not a problem to be solved. The hard problem of consciousness is meant to show us that there's something wrong, there's something faulty or incoherent in
Mhm.
our metaphysical thinking on our defining of reality. So it's meant to say, take a step back, and
Right.
reapproach this from a different angle. This is something you need to circumambulate. You need to, from different points, come at it and maybe try to see if you can figure out ontologically what reality fundamentally may or is, as best we can know, right? Because we may not be able to actually know that, but
Correct.
it's not a problem to be
That's
solved.
what I was saying. I was waiting for you.
I
The
think the
problem
word
is not
problem.
actually a problem.
Yeah.
It's the problem that's created because
Yep.
the sciences or philosophy went the wrong way, right? So
Mhm.
that's why it's a problem, but it's really
Yeah.
not a problem. It's actually a clue to let you know, I'm going the wrong way. Let me back up and try another way.
Yep.
Well said. Well said. Yep.
Yeah.
Very well said.
One of the other ways that I like almost feel about like how the information is accessible is it's kind of like the cloud. Like when you try and think about the cloud like logically, it makes sort of no sense. Like
Right.
when you're trying, like the pictures just go into the cloud, right? And they break up into all little pieces and like they go and they're spread out throughout the entire network of internet. And then, but when you're trying to retrieve it, you click a button and then all of a sudden your picture reappears. So it's just like it's like universal almost. It's not
Right.
not
It's
something to
magic.
be not a problem. It's just there. It's so constant that like we don't even realize that it's there. Yeah.
I always think the word problem in that sentence throws people off. I always try and think, is there another word that I could use there?
Right, because problem makes you think
Yeah.
that it's something to be
It's
solved.
solvable.
Yeah,
Right.
it was coined by a philosopher, I think from New Zealand, named David Chalmers. He had a bet with a neuroscientist like 25 years earlier that the neuroscience said they would have consciousness figured out in 25 years, and whoever lost the bet would buy the other one like a case of champagne. Needless to say, the philosopher was the one that was able to get drunk because
Mhm.
neuroscience still has not been able to explain what consciousness is or how exactly it works. But that's why it's called the hard problem. It's not that that's the problem. It's like Lorda said it perfectly. It's that the problem with the metaphysics of physicalism that says that there's a world out there that's outside of consciousness because consciousness is created in your brain. That's where the hard problem is, because if your brain, which is matter, which is everything's supposed to be made up of the same matter and space dust, right? So if your brain is physical matter that exists outside of consciousness and it's able to create consciousness, then you would have to extrapolate that consciousness and experiential states also exist out there in the world, but they don't. So matter out there doesn't create consciousness. Matter in here can't either.
Right.
So the brain is not creating consciousness, it's within consciousness. And to go to your cloud explanation, that's kind of how I think, even with voices that we do and a lot of the things that happen, that's kind of how it works, is that we are within consciousness. We are all a doing of consciousness, and then that's why a lot of times these things are there.
It's not traveling anywhere. I'm
Right.
sorry.
No,
Yeah.
that's
It's
important.
it's always constantly around us. That's why it's instantaneous.
And Kim, there was, I don't know if you know this, but this is something I always find fascinating to share with mediums. There were studies done. I forget if this was in the Netherlands or that was the one with DID. There were studies done where they had four actors portraying to themselves and to the physicians that they were mediums.
Yeah, it was in there. Okay.
Yeah.
And then there were four people who were supposedly legitimate mediums. And each of them were strapped to either fMRI or EEG so that they could monitor brain activity. And what they found is that when the people who were the actors pretending to self and others, like method actors, right, that they were mediums, that the parts of the brain that have to do with rationale and reasoning and higher cognitive function in the frontal cortex, when the actors were pretending to be mediums, they had heightened excitations and activity in that part of the brain. When the actual mediums were doing the same thing, they had a reduction in activity in that part of the brain that does reasoning and higher cognitive function. There was some stuff going on in what they consider the hot spot back here, the parts of the brain that don't communicate or deal in language, which are the parts that probably symbolically represent what they get to the part in the front that
The raw experience or thought
Right.
Yep.
comes from.
So that tells you there is something that it looks like from a second person perspective to actually be a medium.
Huh.
Yep.
Yeah. It's
It's
there.
fascinating.
You don't use your mind. You don't use your logic mind.
But
If
not
you
only
do,
that, you
you're
turn it down.
actually, it's an, yes, it's an, you filter the information that way. And actually the clearer the medium, the clearer the channel, you don't want to filter anything that's coming in through the experience. Yeah. So absolutely. That makes total sense to me.
That's so
Love
cool.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, you would love analytic idealism.
Yeah.
Like if you understand, like Jen, and I think to you, like if you have a grasp of what's going on and kind of feel what's going on, if you really get into the analytic, it's gonna click. It's gonna click because
does
that's what
click.
happened to
No, it
me.
does.
And then you don't have clashes with science or theology or any of that stuff when you're trying to explain or support the paranormal experiences or what you consider paranormal experiences and their legitimacy of it. I'll give you a hint. The sixth book, which I'm in the process of kind of putting notes together on, is probably going to be um, an analytic idealist guide to paranormality.
Oh,
So I'm going to take a perspective of a lot of different things in the field and stuff that we deal with, and revisit them from the perspective of that ontology, of that reality.
love it. You heard it here, folks. No, sixth book. That's amazing.
2025.
No,
And
that's
Jennie
why I
buy
spent
two of
so
them.
much time on this one.
And Jenny will buy two of them.
And by Jenny will buy 3 of them this time.
That's why. That's why we. Yet another
No,
reason
that's
why
just
we love you.
this. That's just this. Like, trust me. That's just the airheadedness.
She's been looking forward to this all week, by the way. All week. Jenny's
Oh.
been looking forward to
I've
hashing
been
out
like,
this book with
let's
you.
go.
So have I. I know she has
Of
too.
course.
Yeah, we have too.
Yeah, this is great. So
I think, Anthony, do you still want to show the video?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can.
sorry.
no, I mean it's up to you.
Oh.
You guys are the guests. If you don't want to see anything, you could talk all night. I don't
Let's
Oh, we're
care.
do it.
tired of seeing us.
Yeah.
Everybody-
You can
do it.
show some of the digital seance experience highlight clips. I like getting into the other stuff that we did because I feel like
it's important.
that whole it gets repeated over and over again. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing repeatedly, expecting a new result. And I feel like the field is at that stage, right?
Yes.
There are people across the ITC landscape right now. Anybody you can think of, people we work with, people we haven't worked with. There's tons of people doing incredible good work, getting phenomenally good voices, and logging this information. And it's important.
Mhm.
But it's been done for decades now, and yet we're still here in 2025 arguing for the validity of the voices. That's because the net that we're throwing it against is the same one that's rooted in physicalism as a metaphysics. If we don't do something to affect the paradigm or the canvas upon which we
Right.
paint, the paint's not going to stick like it hasn't for decades.
We need
Right.
to make a change.
That's why we think that the idealist philosophy stuff is important, because when you paint the metaphysical picture in such a way that you're not conflicting with science, but you're allowing for these experiences, now you have a compelling argument. And if you can start changing worldview through which is really like a process of stigmergy, or it's like grassroots. But if you can start doing that, this I think is beneficial to the whole field. This is not something that's just good for us, you know. So the continued voices and everything that people do in aggregating data in the field is vastly important. What I'm saying is that we need to do something else to condition the display or the foundation of that, because we've been stacking that shit for years,
Right.
and people still have to argue that it's valid, that it's
Right.
not contamination or always
Right.
pareidolia.
And
That's why we go on at length about this stuff, because I think this is fundamentally even more important.
Right, because that is the reason why the paranormal field isn't taken seriously, because we keep doing these same mistakes over and over again. We know that we are having these experiences, but when we explain them, we don't give a proper explanation. We fall back into physics, or they just know how to do it. There's never, so that's why the paranormal field is not taken seriously, because we need to change. We're not saying that it doesn't happen. We know that the experiences happen.
Right.
We have to figure out a way how to explain a good theory on what we believe, how it's happening. And that's
Right.
where a lot of us fail. So,
Yeah.
you know.
And we're always battling against science fiction And what a lot of that puts out,
And that's where the portals come in and
Right.
everything. You see
Portals.
these things. So if someone actually
TV.
sees something that looks like it, that's the word they're going to use. Or if they
Mhm.
feel something there because of TV, they'll
Right.
call it a portal.
Right.
So,
Yeah. No, you're
AI
right.
is going to become conscious. No, it's
Mhm.
not going to become conscious. Intelligence and consciousness are not the same thing. Intelligence, the ability to cull and process information efficiently. Consciousness is to be sentient, what it is to be something, the beingness of it. It is not the same thing. And AI can repeat to my son, I love you more than anything. The inner phenomenal consciousness, the feeling, the endogenous state, that's not going to have that.
Mhm.
When a computer gives birth to another computer with all of the software and everything included, then I'll start believing that there's maybe
Yeah.
a consciousness element to AI going on. It's a
Baby computer.
simulation. It's a simulation. It's simulating a neural network. And why is it so
Right.
closely resembling a human mind? Because it was designed by a human mind. So it's an anatomical mirror to an aspect of humanity, but it's not humanity. Why don't we have this same fear? Why don't we have this same paranoia with mannequins? Mannequins are anatomically just like us. They look just like. We don't think they're coming to life and taking over the world. But because of intelligence getting confused with consciousness, we think that AI is going to become sentient. No, it's not. It's a simulation. It
No
doesn't mean
matter
it's going
what.
to have the same right. You can simulate on a computer right now, per Bernardo Castro. You can simulate kidney function on a computer down to the molecular level right now.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean your computer's going to pee on your desk.
Right.
Right.
You can technically build a computer with pipes and water and things.
Pressure valves.
Yeah. I mean, it
Well-
would be bigger than Earth or whatever, but you technically can. But it would never have consciousness. It would never feel love. It would never, all those emotions that it says when it's speaking to one of us, it can say it, but it's not feeling it. It's not
Right.
coming within. It's
No.
just information that was put in there, and it has intelligence to figure out where's the proper place to say this or whatever, but it would never
Right.
actually feel it.
And what it's made out of, the parts it's made out of, those are the states of those parts from the second it's built indefinitely. We
Right.
have a symbiotic relationship with the environment that material parts like that don't. We're parts whole. When a cell divides, right, it's got the mapping and everything of the original cell that it's split off from in every cell. So
Mhm.
we're parts whole. They're not. It's a completely different thing. If you have a stereo with 4 speakers and you put 4 more speakers on it, it doesn't become a flat screen TV.
No.
If you add more of something, more intelligence, it doesn't become something else, sentience. So, all right, roll the clips, Anthony.
No, well
Yeah,
said. Well
the
said.
difference of the spark of life, like having that animating life force within
Yeah.
versus from the outside in, which would be
Right.
straight intelligence. Yeah.
Right, and they don't understand what they're buying into through what's really a culturally manufactured sense of plausibility with AI becoming sentient. They don't. It's abiogenesis. It's life from non-life.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Okay.
I could do my.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Do your thing. I know. Yeah.
Okay, here. All right, like I said before, by a half hour ago.
My gosh.
Listen,
This
who do
was
you
my
have here?
favorite all your clips, and this was like one of the first. This was at the UFO Paranormal Museum. The first thing we showed the picture before. So this is my favorite. Of course, going to be.
I know.
Oh,
Ma, if you're here, if you have cookie with you, can a cookie box for me? What?
That was my favorite. I'm sorry. I'm a little
It's-
biased.
Don't be sorry, because it is still one of the most incredible things I've ever heard in my
So
life.
That was
cute.
wild night when
The bark and then her face. Is
Kelly, Kelly,
great.
the owner of
Kelly's
the owner of the
amazing.
family
She's
was
like-
next to him.
I know. So cute.
you know,
I
that was-
love when people have the shocked face. That's my favorite. Do you remember when we were doing an investigation in Morris County and you were holding up a pair of glasses?
Oh yeah,
And we had the police
the sheriff.
officers
yeah.
there in the room.
That was
This
the
was so
best.
good. This was, and they like literally were just, so you're holding up the glasses and you're not saying the word because people will blah 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 blah.
Right.
You're saying the word, you're feeding it in, it's recording it. So you're saying, what am I holding up in my hand? What am I holding up in my
Right.
hand? Glasses. And they were like, what?
Their eyes were
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
Blew
The
their
dog.
brain.
He
Blew their
pointed,
brain.
he was like, he went, he stepped back. It was
I
great.
know.
Yeah, the one officer,
Great.
he pointed and stepped back.
Yeah.
He was-
And then he
I
ends
don't
up
think
leaving, didn't he? He has a
He was
gun on
scared.
him and everything. He's like, I'm out of here.
he was scared.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not coming
He's
down here by
full.
myself anymore.
Yeah.
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 That was
No,
Yeah.
that's
But
funny.
in
cool.
that one split moment.
Yeah, his whole life changed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do that.
That's what it
I
takes.
do that a lot at events. If somebody in the audience or participants not engaged in dialogue, or we're not getting Q&A stuff started, sometimes just to see if it'll come through, because at least
Yeah.
people, if there is an intent and belief factor involved in this, right, that'll help bolster it, because when they see this and then the word comes out.
He doesn't get it every time, but he gets it a
Right.
lot. He's very
Yeah.
successful with
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Now, question, and this may open up a can of worms with this. When they do respond with glasses, do you think it is spirit, or could it be reading your own consciousness thinking glasses, or somebody else's consciousness in the audience thinking glasses?
Good question.
That's a great question. Sorry. So as an idealist, I'm gonna say you can give a separate answer if you want to,
go
because I
ahead.
think we're on the same page for the most part. I don't think it's a spirit in the sense that you're saying it, and I'll explain what I mean. I think that it's consciousness, that we're communicating with consciousness, and I think,
Right.
and this is where it gets confusing, because if there's one mind at large, one cosmic consciousness, and we're all fractal parts of it, but part connected, but we're dissociated, which is why we can't read each other's minds all the time. I don't know what's happening in China right now, right? So we're dissociated, but we're part of one mind. So if we're communicating with consciousness, I don't think, because there's no way to support this, that it's a series of substrate independent consciousnesses. Meaning within universal consciousness, there's independent spirit consciousness floating around. Because there's absolutely no way to empirically back that or even know that that happens. So I think it's universal consciousness. Now, if spirit, and I've seen somebody once before say that spirits can hear and see without eyes and ears. I find that to be a little bit of a vexing position, because we're supposed to be spirit. And if they can see without eyes and ears, why would we have evolved ocular and auditory systems for the purposes of survival if, as spirits, we could see and hear without those physical systems for perception? So I think they're grokking the information from somebody. It could be me, it could be someone else in the room who's contributing that to universal consciousness from seeing it, and then it's accessible as an answer, which also explains sometimes that these responses are lightning fast with zero latency, as Lourdes mentioned before, not traveling any distance, not traversing like a mechanical sound wave would, for me to say it, someone to hear it,
Right.
process it, spit it back, and then that wave travels back. It's there's no time for any of that. So I think it's consciousness, but I don't think it's a direct, like, reading my mind. I think it's mine or somebody's mind contributing it to. And there were studies like this. There was somebody in an NDE situation that was, they talked about an abandoned, like, Timberland boot on the roof of the hospital. Well, they weren't on the roof of the hospital. They'd never been on the roof of that hospital. They were brought in there one time in an emergency situation, but sure enough, that boot was there. Somebody saw it, contributed it to the greater whole, and then now that was accessible. So when she was more open, or more higher rate of porosity to be open to consciousness than normally dissociation would have her,
Yes.
Right.
that was accessible.
Right.
Yep.
So I think
Absolutely.
I pretty much think what he's saying, but I would describe it more as that it gets it works through us. It doesn't get it from us. But since we're one and the same, it's collective consciousness, and we're part of it, but we're dissociated. So they work through us. So whether they're working through someone else in the audience with glasses, or whether it be Ron, but it's working through us and getting that information through us, if
Right.
that makes sense.
No, it
So,
does.
and it's like with mediumship, it's not that it happens to you or by you, but it happens through you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I've had the question before, that if it's one universal mind consciousness that we're communicating with, and we're fractal parts of it, then how do you explain a variety of voices, or voices that sound like they're interacting with each other when we do what we do? So there's a theory by a gentleman named Federico Fagin, who was the inventor of the microprocessor, who could very well be one of the most in-depth idealists in existence. He's a living hero
He's like a top dog.
yeah, to Bernardo Kastrup, whose
Okay.
work we've studied. And he suggests something that on a quantum level, that consciousness would be, he calls them consciousness units on a quantum level, and that there would be collections of these autonomous complexes that could act, again, autonomous, right? So they act with autonomy, and that could explain
Like a
perhaps
person's
experiences.
personality.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to
Right.
make an example of that that's digestible, one mind and these little autonomous complexes that identify as individuals, maybe so there's conversation between them or with you as a dissociated person. Where else in nature do we see that? Dreams. When you have a dream, you identify as you in the dream.
Sure.
You're the dream
Right.
avatar.
Yes.
But when you wake up, you don't mourn the loss of your dream avatar. And then everything else in the dream, you realize the streets, the cars, the other people, the conversations, that was all you.
Yeah.
But you dissociated from everything else and identified as yourself. So if you extrapolate from that, then mind at large is one mind. And then these little autonomous complexes that are coming through when we're speaking and we're getting voices that sound like they're interacting, these are consciousness units. Federico calls them seities. And that even us as living people that are dissociated are seities, but we're in an experience of dissociation. And the dissociation's appearance is what our physical form looks like. This is the appearance of an active dissociation.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I totally get that. Absolutely.
See?
Yep. Cool.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
have
You
a
should. I'm
request.
telling you, analytic idealism. You
I
folks should
know. I told you. I
check
read
it
the
out.
book so
Yeah.
slowly because I was absorbing it and I really wanted to get it. We have a
And I
request
think-
to play Cookie again.
Okay. And by the way, and I think that this is also, there's something interesting they said too. I think that through this type of dissociation and autonomy, that may be how mediumship works sometimes.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
we don't have the ability to introspect or get into what is behind the representation of like our specific organs, right? We never get to reflect and introspect and experience what our kidneys or our hearts are doing. If we could, if those were not autonomously operating, then we would have to be responsible for beating our heart all the time, right? So I think that some mediums may have a greater porosity or openness to consciousness, and it's at a point where even though you develop it and work on it, that maybe through that, or maybe just inherently, like some people can naturally just sing, that it's just part of it's just autonomous, and it's, which is why the frontal cortex and stuff doesn't have any part and excitation from it, that it just runs, it just kind of happens. We do that like when we learn how to drive.
Yeah.
We learn how to drive every part of driving, the foot, the shifter, the wheel, the signal, like you're focused on everything. That after a while, you're driving 90 miles an hour, putting on lipstick, texting somebody, drinking coffee, right? Because some of it becomes autonomous. You just kind of have it down. So I think this is a supportive idea behind even mediumship and how it can work.
I never put my lipstick on when I'm driving.
Yeah.
I know. I was in the room with you.
Wait till you
Your
have to stop
mascara?
it.
You don't do your mascara while driving, Anthony?
No, I don't do my
Listen,
makeup. I
guilty.
you know, I usually don't do.
Little beard brush.
He has that.
I got that too.
I know he does. He brings it around. He does little itchies. Yeah.
It's like a little dog brush, you know?
We'll be like sitting in a dark room, and Anthony just pulls out his little beard brush.
He's like,
Brushing the beard.
You get that?
one thing-
So good.
Somebody wants to hear Cookie again.
I was
Yeah,
going to say the
play-
one thing that I see every week watching the show is that you two ladies get him. You totally
We
understand what
totally
you're
love
in for. Yeah, I know. It's
Anthony
obvious.
can say to me, it's like a paranormal odd. We're like the paranormal odd couple. Like he'll look at me and say, you know that? I'm like, oh yeah, the book with the thing. He's like, yeah. Like I can.
Yeah.
You know.
He doesn't have to say the words.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, it's like the thing with the thing. Yeah, that
He's
thing.
like,
Okay,
you know
yeah, that
the-
thing.
I'm like, yeah, the waterfall. Yeah. You know, I know
Yeah.
what he's gonna say.
He's in good company. He's in good company.
He's the
Yeah,
best.
we're going to play the dog again. Somebody
He's
wants to
sending
hear
it
it.
out to you.
Yeah, come on, give the
Send
people
it.
what
Yeah,
they
we good
want.
energy here.
Ma, if you're here, if you have Cookie with you, can Cookie box for me?
I love it.
The best
Hey.
part is your face. 'Cause
The
you're just like,
clapping.
mhm,
So
mhm.
good.
That
Cookie
just
was my
happened.
dog. I had Cookie since I got her when I was about 1 or 2 years old, and had her for 18 years before she died.
Wow.
So yeah, I had her for a long
Yeah.
time.
Oh.
Matter of fact, I consider my like little sister more than my brother, than my real brother. That's my
Oh, little cookie.
yeah. She was my little sister.
He
No,
may not mind. I don't think Gerard would want to be considered your little sister.
no, I don't think so either.
Well, sometimes, yeah, I think he might be.
Over there.
So, I have something here. I maybe you want to play that you guys. My Haunted Manor.
Yes.
Oh,
You want
yeah.
to do that one?
Sure. That's Daryl Marston, Jeff and Trey Bader, Columbia, Pennsylvania. Awesome spot, 24-hour surveillance of the activity, which is heightened in that location. We did 2 episodes, one us, one with Dustin Parry, and then they showed it again on the season finale. And we're going back at the end of March and the beginning of April to do 2 more episodes with them.
Cool.
Can you check and see how to get tickets for that? I tried and it's not coming up. So let me
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Did they announce it yet? I don't even
I
think.
Yeah, he posted
It's
it.
Oh, I
announced,
haven't
but
seen
if
it.
you click the link, that one doesn't come up yet. So
March
We'll sneak
okay.
in one of the boxes.
make sure I get in. I want to. I
As soon
investigated
as I
that
see it,
place.
I'll let you know.
March
As soon as,
22nd and April 5th. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
As soon as I see,
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
And
March
here it
22nd.
goes.
They started digging. What would they find?
Person.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah, ask the person.
Is it a male or a female person? Male or female? Woman.
Oh man! Oh woman! Oh woman!
It's so good. It's so
That's
good.
awesome.
Oh.
I like when you get the answer. Somebody goes running away, like, oh.
That was me.
uh,
I don't usually get that excited,
I got
but
so pumped up.
I was hyped because it was a big deal for us to be there with them, and I knew it was for an episode. And you know, most of the time we get stuff, but sometimes it performs a little bit less. Sometimes at home, even right, it really good.
Sure.
So you
Right.
never know.
You want to tell the
That
story
night.
behind that answer? Tell the story behind that answer.
Well, yeah, and
were
they
they asking for that? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
we
they've
would
had-
help them out. Yeah.
They've had mediums
Cool.
come in a lot, and there's supposedly 2 people, I think female, beaten and killed or whatever, buried somewhere in the basement by the furnace.
And we
So-
got that word too, furnace. We did.
Yep,
Oh,
furnace.
Before
wow.
that, we got furnace, which led me to the first question
That's correct.
because we got the word furnace. But the thing is, after that, they brought in a guy who did ground.
Penetrating.
Well, I was gonna say
Okay.
ground
Radar.
penetrating radar,
Yeah.
and he found. I think it was in 2 spots or 1, 2 spots where the dimensions, the measurements of what he found is indicative of a body, like what would be a body.
2 foot by
2 of them.
2 foot by 10 foot chasms,
So they're gonna dig, and
and
Yeah.
that same
Oh,
I mean they
technician-
started already.
The same technician who did the GPR had done that at a cemetery in Pennsylvania, not far away, and found 150 something graves that were unmarked with the same dimensions of 2 foot by 10 foot,
Yep.
which is a body without a casket buried.
Like
So
rap, perhaps.
they
Right.
just did a first episode of the next season. They did it free
Yes,
on YouTube,
today.
but it's on Prime, and I think maybe Paramount Plus, but it's on Prime for sure. Where they did a thing where they were going to start digging. So
It's,
and then
it's not on Prime yet, though. It's going
Yeah.
to be.
it's supposed to be. I don't know if it already is, but they did the first
Yeah.
episode for free on YouTube again. Just
Yeah. Check it out if you can. Really good stuff.
really cool people. Great spot.
It's a great location. So if you're near the area, you want to visit, you should definitely visit it. And they treat their guests very well.
They
The-
treat
the
everybody
3
really
guys, the Beta brothers, and Daryl Marston. They're awesome people.
They
Yeah.
are. They are. I don't know the Baders. I know Daryl. Fantastic guy. I investigated that place before.
Did
Before
you?
this. Yeah.
Oh wow,
So
Yeah.
you know.
it's a cool place, man. It's
It
cool.
was really active. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Hi, old Nick.
Yeah, it's a cool spot.
Yeah, if you can
know,
check it out, everybody.
We went over calendar dates with him, and he threw like 4 dates at us, and we said, "All right, we're open for these 2." He goes, "All right, we're taking both of them." All right,
Maybe in October
Yeah.
we'll be there.
possibly again at the end of the year too. Yeah, it's we're I don't know if we can run more clips, but we're beyond grateful that we've gotten the opportunities that we've got and that we have coming up,
Mhm.
working with people. We have zero entitlement. The field owes us nothing, but the love and support we've seen from it has been phenomenal.
Mm,
Yeah.
same. Yeah. I mean, that's
And
why I do. That's why I do
that
this.
includes you three, very much so.
Lourdes and them too.
Even you,
Yes,
Anthony.
right. Even you, Captain Obi-Wan Kenobi.
We love Anthony.
He's itchy.
He's all right.
I'm scratching my bald spot.
Play the clip.
Yeah, I got it. Rockaway.
This one was fun. Yeah, I
picking?
threw this one in. This one we did a library event, which Rich Michelle gets us out to do library presentations a lot, and oftentimes with the very talented ghost history medium herself here, who, if you get a chance to go see her speak, she's
Yes.
brilliant, and she's so good with working with the people and addressing when they have questions and stuff. And her presentation is fantastic. So every time he goes, "You want to do an event with Kim and I?" We're like, "Yeah." So
I know. I
this was
love
one
doing
of the.
events with people. I love it. And
It's
the
so much
people love
fun.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, Richard's a great guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was at a library in Rockaway by Richard's area, and he oftentimes would do this. Will knock and he asks for somebody to come through and tell him what he's doing.
Which he is very successful with too. He
Yep.
gets it on.
Yep.
He likes to do this finish my sentence, and I always forget that myself, and he remembers it, and it works every time.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
at the Columns Museum, he did the Gettysburg thing. You know, he did Fourscore,
Yep.
and
That's right.
and we got that. You know, Lincoln's address.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and here we go.
Gonna do something. You tell me what I'm doing.
Knocking. I heard knocking. Knocking. It was
Again. Who heard that?
That's good.
So cute
Yeah.
too. Sounds like
So,
it,
and,
because that's
and
how
I
kids say it.
forgot that it was the young voice.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting that it's a young voice, because where right next door to where we're doing that session is the children's part of the library. The whole bottom floor is the children's library. So yeah, super cool. I hadn't put the 2 and 2 together since right now, but yeah.
One of the things that amazes me when you guys do this is the feeling, the emotion, the attitude, right, of some of the voices. Like it's like, oh, you're knocking, like a kid would say, like, "Oh, come on, I know it's you," kind of.
Yeah.
And you hear that. You hear the
that was
personality
very
come
interesting.
through.
That's
It's not
part
just
of the
that
juggling
robotic
act.
voice.
Yes,
Right.
You nailed it. That's part of the juggling act is retaining the vocal quality where you get the emphatic.
The appearance
feeling.
of
Right.
human speech, like
Yes.
here, instead of being robotic, it almost sounds
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
it has a body like us.
Because there are some components to the software setup that I played
intonation.
with before. Yes, some of the components in the software that are available, especially for vocal clarity, can sometimes reduce noise floor and maybe even bring the vocals to the front. But it'll do it where it sounds almost like one of those voice box
Yeah.
things. And then I'm torn on that because quality vocals from a system that shouldn't produce anything is still phenomenal.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
That's
Any
the thing.
vocals.
That's the phenomenal part. But I don't want to, if I don't have to, lose the part where you can sense like feeling or emotion.
which is important. Like, I mean, like he said, with the robot, if you get something with the robotic voice, you still get that. But when it really sounds with that emotion, you
Sure.
feel that more. It's just a natural thing. So that's why we try not to make it sound robotic.
I may have
try
included one clip. I don't know the other ones I sent them. I may have included one where it was a little bit more robotic like that, and it's clear and it's still
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
But
which one is that? Is that talking to Austin?
No, we're able to now. Did I send that one?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
No.
I didn't send it?
No, you got consciousness, bad connection, talk to Austin, Rodney, your mother and your grandmother one, damnation,
That's a good
and then the two
example
other
with the
ones.
emotion.
Yes.
Rockaway. Which one you want?
Play the mother and grandmother one too, because when we mentioned about slowing down the flow of live white noise, it had never been done before on ITC.
Mhm.
And this at a Rich Michelle event in Vernon, New Jersey. This is why, because in real time I didn't hear any of this except I thought I heard on, but it was my
Right.
name, and then the rest of this we really hear the emotion, and I missed all of it, which means it came in not only faster than we can detect, that's faster than the human vocal tract is capable of speaking.
Right.
Hearing.
Which
Right.
is mind blowing, really.
50% slowed down. 50%.
Right.
And it sounds like regular speech. And
Yeah.
he sounds like
He
he's drunk.
sounds
I
drunk.
sound drunk.
Yeah. Well, you weren't
Yeah.
drunk. That's why you missed it. No, I'm kidding.
That's why.
That makes sense. And the voice is like is faster than an auctioneer on cocaine. So it's
But
So
it definitely
maybe you
has
should
that
start
quality.
listening to your listening to why you gotta get drunk before you listen. So you can hear it.
I get
There
drunk
you
for to a
go.
lot of things he said.
No, he doesn't.
I said got to, not that
Oh,
I do.
okay.
I know he don't.
Yeah, he knows I
Okay,
don't.
here we go.
You know who I am? It's turned on. Is my mother gonna be here tonight?
Every time.
Yeah.
I know. When she goes, Ronnie, I love when she says that.
Like right there.
You know, and it's at the beginning when you says Ron, and it said it's Lucy. So it's like her telling you who it is that
Oh,
said
God,
Ron.
sorry.
That's great.
What happened?
And Lucy was her mother's name.
Yeah. So she was like saying it's my mother, you know,
Yeah.
or grandma. Yeah,
Right.
so
Wait, let me try
that's
it again.
excellent. Yeah,
You know what I like is that,
Oh, look at that. It works.
That's
I
better.
like that it goes, it's mom, it's Lucy,
Yeah,
and
you
then
go like
it
that.
goes, I'm connecting. Because to me, it's
I'm
like,
connecting. Yeah.
right, it's a part of a whole, but it's mom,
Yeah.
it's Lucy, but I'm connecting.
Right. Like I'm always
I'm
here, but now I'm
connecting in.
connecting.
And I've said this to you guys before. Sometimes when I'm connecting in mediumship, the information comes in faster than I can translate. And
You have
sometimes
said
you have
that.
to tell them to like slow down. Like I need to slow down, or it'll come like in a packet, like a packet of information. And then you have to like search through the packet to translate it. So yeah, I totally get that. It's that they came in so quick that way.
I want to ask you a question, Kim. When you're doing mediumship, when things come in, do you sometimes get the sensation of it coming in? Has that happened to you?
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah. The
Where do you
information,
usually where do you usually feel it when it's coming in? When do you
for me, the top of my head or the back of my head? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spot.
Okay, because
Top
that
and back.
happened to me.
It used to be, I think, on the left. When I first started, it would be on the left. Now it's center of the top and the back.
Yep.
Changed.
Right
That's
here.
even
That
cooler.
one out of body, what appears to be an out of body experience, I felt it coming in. It was right here. It was right here. And I felt what seems like
Makes sense.
expecting out. I felt that. Like it was so weird. And it almost, and I'm not saying that it travels, but it gave me the feeling of it coming in, traveling in too fast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, that's not true, but that's what it makes you feel, because you kind of like it, and then it kind of comes out. So that's why
amazing.
I was curious, you know.
You wanted to ask her that for a time.
Because we're so
getting
slowed down in 3D. Yeah, we're so
And you know what else
slowed
happened?
down here.
I also I started hyperventilating at the moment. So it makes me think of when Bernardo Castrop says about getting too much information that can affect your entropy. So
internal entropy, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that that's what happened. I was receiving a little bit too much that it kind of made me hyperventilate, and it was weird because I can hear myself hyperventilating like in the distance, but I couldn't feel it, but I can hear it. It's just it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, your
Right.
consciousness shifted ahead of you, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what it feels
And
like.
then-
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Lourdes, when I
Wow.
went down to where the towers, when they first went down, I went down on October 31st of 2001, and right after it all happened, and when I got off the train there, like you're saying, I heard like 1,000 voices, like being in a big room with 1,000 voices talk at the same time, and that's how I felt the whole time. I felt nauseous, had a headache, and I was very dizzy.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
and because
Too
it
much.
seemed like everything coming at me at once, you know.
Too much.
So I guess that's
But-
similar to what you.
And I think
Right.
that's the reason for drainage, right? When you get drained, because it messes with your yeah.
Yeah. And for folks
Yeah,
watching,
and go ahead.
I was going to say entropy is the undoing or the disorganizing of a system, and that's one of the reasons why our sense input limits us to. We don't see reality as a mirror image of everything that's out there. We know we don't see the whole light spectrum. We don't hear the whole audio spectrum. So we get in just the salient points that we need to get through life without walking like under a truck.
Right.
Right. We get just what we need, not everything that's available, because there is an upper
Right.
bounds to our cellular integrity inside. And if we took in everything as a mirror image to the outside world, there is no upper bounds
No.
to consciousness, but there would be for us. So we would be,
burn
as you
out,
would, as
basically.
entropic
People
soup.
do.
We would just dissolve from
We
the
would-
overabundance
would
of
melt.
just right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We would
Yeah.
destruct. Yeah.
We're getting
And
close to
honestly,
the end of the
that's
show. So you want to play anything else before we
Yeah.
go?
What would you like to play?
Anything
What else? What else is left? And then I wanted to hear what Kim
Kim
was
was
going to
saying.
say next too.
Yeah.
All right. I
We
mean,
watch.
whatever.
She watches Kim every week, and we're like, "Holy shit, she's so good."
I know she's
She's so
unbelievable.
good.
You guys are
I mean,
too nice. It's all available. It's all happening.
If you want to listen to her question, because we're going to run out of time if we play a clip and do that. So we
Yeah.
got 6 minutes left.
Okay, I was just
All right.
gonna say, that story that spirit drains you. It can, if you don't create your energetic boundary, your own matrix around you. So it can drain you. That's why people
Mhm.
believe they get drained, but it doesn't have to. There's no reason why it has to drain you. That's not a requirement. And
Right.
then, oh my gosh, what were we just talking about before?
Entropy.
Yeah. Taking in the whole
Nope,
universe
gone.
at once if you didn't have boundaries.
Getting
Burnout. Same thing with burnout.
burn.
So you're saying that all that information coming in, it kind of fries you.
Sure.
And that's a lot what I think burnout people experience. Burnout people tend to be the compassionate. They tend to have big hearts. They tend to be very open, giving, and they take in too much, and they basically their system can't handle it. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
go
What
on.
are you saying? I'm a burnout?
He's a burnout.
No, Anthony.
No, you're just too much.
Aw.
Oh, two less.
No, he's just a loving, kind person, like you said. And sometimes those people get burned out.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Burned up. So we got 7 minutes. You want to play one more clip and then I'll kick you guys off then.
Oh man, we could talk all night.
I know. I wish we had a couple more hours, but Bob was
What
going to
clips do you have left? Tell us what's left, and then
the consciousness tighter, bad connection, talk to Austin, damnation. That's all's left.
Oh my god.
I mean, my two favorite is the damnation and the consciousness one.
Let's play the consciousness one then, because that one's shorter, and that's kind of an instance when we were told through our system from a voice that's what we were communicating with, or that's who was communicating with us.
Okay.
So cool.
Great.
And here we go.
What happened here? What happened to us? Sorry about that.
So that was a different clip.
was still good.
Bad conscience tighter.
I love that one too.
That
That's
was
a
when
good
we
one.
had a computer issue when we were out of resources and it was skipping and buffering, and I fixed it temporarily before I ended up having to buy a new
Oh,
computer.
I hit the wrong one.
Yeah, but
You did?
still, it's
Yeah.
like still got attitude. Like, let
It's
me
such
help
a
you
good
out.
one. It's the same voice doing a
Yeah,
whole sentence that makes entire
explaining
sense
it.
that's relevant to the moment.
Very. Yep. That's exactly the problem I was having with the system before it said that. Yep.
I'll play consciousness now. I hit the wrong
So
one.
good.
Cool. Hmm.
So a declaration of consciousness itself.
That's
It's
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah.
And they're answering your question.
Yeah, if that's not
You know?
validating, what is?
Yeah. Well, we got 5 minutes left, so
Pretty
we
cool.
got questions. We're saving the questions. Who's out there? Exciting work.
Yeah,
No
maybe
real
we can.
questions. Do you see any
Thank you
questions?
for having us. Thank you for having us on this show. We not because we're your friends, but we truly do really enjoy this show. You guys have a fantastic, unique
Connection.
show and connection. Yeah, and the concept behind the show with the readings ahead of time and the way you guys do this is just fantastic.
It's put together really, really well. You each do your part,
right,
and it works well together. Yep.
And you guys work well together.
You do.
That. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to thank you guys. You know,
So-
even though I get to see you
I
more
know we
often
see
than
each other.
most.
We do.
You
We're
know,
fortunate.
but
I have an
I'm
announcement,
so happy.
and I want to
Oh.
share it with you guys because you're my family. Look under my name. You might see something different.
Ooh, Seekers Club.
Yeah.
Yep, she's a official Secret Club member.
I've joined the Seekers Club Paranormal.
That's very cool.
Very cool.
Jennie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
You're the
she's
first
a
to know.
seeker and a seeker.
I'm a seeker.
You're a seeker.
Yeah.
And she even says it right.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jennie the seeker. Seeker Jennie.
So thanks,
We gotta
Anthony,
we
for
gotta
having me in your
get
club.
Kimm in there too, but I mean
Seeker Jennie, the recording queen. That's what I'm gonna
When
call
I
her
asked
from
him,
now on.
I approached him about it, and he was like, "What are you talking about? You're already a seeker."
yeah, she's like okay, because you know, you might what? You already in.
Well, that's not what you say. You say for F's sake.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he does say that a lot.
He does.
Jennie.
Yeah, he does.
So hey guys, where can people find you? Like you have a website, you have Facebook, any events coming up? What do you want to share? We heard your book,
Well, we
maybe,
have
but not right
the-
now.
I'll
In the
pull the
future.
calendar up.
We have the website Gonyak Paranormal, and then we have our YouTube page, which is also Gonyak Paranormal. Then we have our personal Facebook pages, Lourdes Gonzalez, Rania Cavetti. We also have the ITC Invisible Art Facebook page that you can look us up. And I think that's it. I mean, we have Instagram accounts and TikTok, but we don't really use it a lot. I mean, some of the stuff on Facebook winds up on Instagram, but those are really the places where you find the most content.
Yeah. This weekend we have a rare but grateful double header. We're doing an event with Rich Michelle and Kimm from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then from 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. we're doing the Haunted Ritz Theater down in Haddon Township, New Jersey. So it's 2 events in one day.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Frankie Adele.
Yep.
Yes, and Anthony.
And then coming up next month in March, and we have the Tubbs House for the Morris County Parks Commission, and we're doing My Haunted Manor on the 22nd of March, and then the 5th of April.
And you'll find all these events on the Facebook pages and on our website.
Right, they're all on the events page on our website. And then we're doing the Jersey Power Unity Expo, Gettysburg Bash, Penhurst Paracon, the Maine Horror and Paranormal Convention in Augusta, Maine. Festival of the Unexplained in the UK, where Todd and Carmel, the Cocos, and Frankie Dale are all coming across the pond.
That's pretty cool.
With us, which is awesome.
Very cool.
And then I'm supposed to also speak in Halifax at the Halifax Paranormal Research Symposium as well, which is also I think in September.
Amazing.
So we have
Wow.
Wilson Castle. There's a lot of, we're
Wow.
supremely grateful. We never thought we would be doing any of this when we sat down in front of that boombox that Anthony showed in the beginning and started listening to static. We never expected any of this.
We were just doing our thing and having fun.
The people and the experiences that have come into our lives because of this is good enough reason for me to keep doing it.
Yep. And Morris County events as well. Did you say that?
Yeah, he did.
I
He mentioned a couple.
I mentioned a couple, but not all of them. Yep.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's okay.
and we all going to be doing all that. So we're all going to
Gratitude. That's the
be
way to
involved
live.
with those.
And buy the book.
We're grateful for you
The
guys.
newest
and
one.
what
Buy
you're
the book.
doing.
Life Contact.
We're grateful for you guys.
Yeah,
Aw.
we're happy. We're
Yeah,
happy
and
you
I
guys are
appreciate
here tonight.
I appreciate the support too. The books are all on Amazon, but that one I can buy it back from you. You get two of them.
No.
That one by far is my favorite one because of the evolution of process, and the idealist philosophy that's now kind of permeated what we do and how we support what we do. So that's my favorite one by far.
I plan to pass it on to somebody. And well, this one's getting worn out, so I might need it. I look back at it a lot. Thank you for this.
No, that means a lot. That means a lot to me when someone you admire and respect that much, like yourself, from all of you, like the compliments and the support means a lot to us, especially because the friends that we have are people that we do love and admire.
We do have fun, don't
I don't
we?
have that one, Jenny. I don't have that one, Jenny.
It's
So I'll
yours.
snag that. I'm just going to be
It's
shopping
yours.
at your house. I'm going to be
Ronnie
I just
doing.
want to
said it
say,
for you.
everybody on the screen tonight are my favorite, my best
I'll bring
friends,
it
and everything.
Saturday.
So you all my good friends. Everybody on the screen tonight. You guys, my
I know.
host
I'm
on the
only
show and
gonna do
everything.
it.
You guys,
can't
I
do it. Won't
appreciate
show
being.
up.
You guys make it worthwhile for me to go.
You have
and
to
all these
allow it
events.
in settings,
After
so.
all these years I've been doing it, you're like the best group of people I've been with. So
I know. I think
Aw.
I can
thank you
usually
all.
do it.
Okay. Saying that,
Is it
we got to end the show because we're going to overtime,
Gotta
and
do
Bobby's going to kick my butt.
it.
Okay. I just want to say you guys got to be safe out there. You got to be safe on the investigation. Just be safe because you want to look for ghosts. You don't want to be a ghost. Forget about it. Ciao, familia.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Historians out.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, how you doing?